The Sepang International Circuit is a masterpiece that is abandoned by Formula One. A fan favourite, a driver favourite, and a circuit that deserves a spot on the F1 calendar. It's been 8 years since we had the last Malaysian Grand Prix, and to this day, it's missed by many fans around the world. In 1999, the first Malaysian Grand Prix was held, but before we dive deeper into the history, we have to start at the beginning. Formula One wanted to grow and expand into Southeast Asia. Malaysia was a fantastic candidate for this because they had the ambition to transform into a modern nation during the 1990s. Part of that was getting a Formula One Grand Prix. While it wasn't as popular as now, it still provided a lot of eyeballs on the country. Between 1996 and 1999, the circuit was constructed. It had a good location, with it only being 45 kilometers from the capital Kuala Lumpur and 14 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. The infrastructure wasn't a problem. They crafted a masterpiece. Now, while I'm known for hating on Herman Tilke and his designs, he absolutely nailed this one. It's a circuit that is flowing, high speed, and provides a lot of overtaking opportunities. At 5.5 kilometers long, with 15 corners, 8 straights, and a variable track width, it gives drivers the possibility to try different racing lines. One of the highlights has to be the grandstands, a double-sided, gigantic construction that gives the possibility to view the pit, the main straight, and back straight, all separated by a tight hairpin. It is one of the characteristics of the circuit, and it's well known from all the images we can look up. It's a demanding circuit, with 45% of each lap at full throttle. You need a high downforce for the corners, but low drag for the straights. The circuit has fantastic S's, an uphill corner, and camber. From the moment the circuit was ready, it became an instant classic. And last but not least, the unpredictable weather, with absolute rivers falling from the sky, or temperatures up to 35 degrees Celsius, made it an absolute challenge. It was time for the inaugural Grand Prix at Sepang. It was October 17th, 1999. They got an absolute gift with Michael Schumacher returning after he broke his leg at that year's British Grand Prix. The first ever pole position went to Schumacher. While he is known for his ruthlessness, he did everything to help his teammate Eddie Irvine to win and become Formula One champion. He handed the lead to his teammate, slowed down, and backed up both McLaren drivers Mika Häkkinen and David Coulthard. It was a Ferrari-dominated 1-2, but also the first controversy, and of course, Ferrari was involved. Both cars were illegal, got disqualified, but later it got reinstated after the Italians won an appeal. What a way to start your Formula One legacy as a race host, isn't it? The first race was a success. It was well received by the drivers. They described it as a war of attention. Only 11 cars finished due to the hot and humid conditions. It was technical and strategic, a big promise for the future, and a fantastic venue that suited Formula One's desire to grow in Southeast Asia. For the 2000 Formula One season, the Malaysian Grand Prix became the season end. The championship was already decided, but the Constructors' Championship was not. With again Ferrari versus McLaren, it became another show. The first lap offered spectacle, with a slow start from Schumacher, multiple crashes, and a safety car. A battle followed, with Ferrari coming out on top. It was Schumacher in first, Coulthard in second, and Barrichello in third. Ferrari was crowned champion at the Malaysian Grand Prix. From 2001 onwards, the circuit was moved to the front of the season, aiming to gain more predictable weather and reduce the risk of race-disrupting heavy rainfalls. It also helped Sepang to attract more viewership. Early season races attract more viewers due to the start of the season, but they didn't avoid the rain. The 2001 Grand Prix had heavy rain showers. The hairpin was flooded because it didn't have good enough drainage. Multiple drivers aquaplaned into the gravel, and Sepang's trademark became the unpredictable weather. In this period, the Grand Prix really made a name for itself. From 2002 to 2008, the Grand Prix had 6 different winners from 5 different teams. The weather showcased that it was challenging. With extreme heat and occasional heavy rain, it had everything. The Malaysian Grand Prix became an absolute classic with every season an unpredictable outcome. Kimi Raikkonen's first win, Fernando Alonso's first pole position, and Jenson Button's first podium all were at this circuit. Williams' last 1-2 finish from 2002, Toyota's first podium in 2005, and BMW Sauber's best finish in 2008 also happened here. But the first cracks started to occur. In 2007, Bernie Ecclestone called the circuit an old house that needs a bit of redecorating. The circuit itself wasn't the issue, it was the surroundings. In 2008, the Singapore Grand Prix became the first Formula One night race. With it also being located in Asia and in a city, it became immensely popular. The Malaysian Grand Prix tried to become the second night race, but that never happened. They settled for a late afternoon start time. But that start time ended in disaster. The 2009 Grand Prix at Sepang literally rained away. It got red flagged and not restarted after only 33 laps. It was the fifth Grand Prix that was handed half points in Formula One history. The highlight? Kimi Raikkonen going for an ice cream. The Grand Prix was extended, and we kept racing. In 2010, it was the first Red Bull win in Malaysia with Sebastian Vettel. The qualifier of that season's Grand Prix was chaotic. In 2011, it was again Sebastian Vettel that won. He dominated the Grand Prix. It was Nick Heidfeld's last podium and Renault's last podium until 2020. In 2012, it was a Fernando Alonso masterclass in the rain. But it was Sergio Perez that almost did the unthinkable by winning in a Sauber. 2013 has to be in every Formula One fan's memory. It was the Grand Prix of Multi 21 and drama between the Red Bull drivers Vettel and Webber.
Multi 21, Tim. Yeah, Multi 21.
In 2014, Mercedes dominated, and Lewis Hamilton won for the first time in Malaysia. 2015 was for Sebastian Vettel, but this time in Ferrari Red. It was his first win for the prancing horse, and he broke Mercedes' run of 8 consecutive wins. 2016 had a dramatic end with Hamilton's engine failure. Ricciardo and Verstappen battled hard, with the Australian coming out on top. In 2017, we had the last Malaysian Grand Prix. It was Max Verstappen who gifted himself a win on his own 20th birthday. And what also happened was Lance Stroll sleeping and driving into Sebastian Vettel.
Is that possible? Stroll is not looking where he's going. He completely shunted into my car. I mean, seriously.
But while we still had good races in those years, it became clear that the Grand Prix was struggling. Not only because the calendar grew with more Asian Grand Prix, but also the cost of hosting one became unrealistic for them. By the mid-2010s, they had to pay around $97 million. The Grand Prix's popularity faded away. They had the first mover advantage in 1999, but with the growth of the sport and Singapore taking away all the shine, it wasn't as attractive anymore. In 2017, only 110,000 people attended the Grand Prix. In 2008, it was 126,000. But to put that into perspective, the first Grand Prix in Singapore in 2008 attracted 300,000 visitors. It became evident that the locals, but also tourists, didn't travel to Malaysia. But it didn't help either that MotoGP did attract local visitors. Around 85% of the visitors are Malaysian. With a hosting fee of only $10 million, it was also very attractive for the circuit owners. They chose two-wheelers over four-wheelers, and I get that. Ticket prices were too high. Sponsor Petronas didn't subsidize the event anymore due to financial struggles, and viewership hit an all-time low. The hybrid era of Formula One wasn't good for the sport either. With Mercedes becoming the dominant force, the sport became somewhat predictable. Then, at that time, circuit director Razlan Razali called the sport boring. But the main question is, will we ever see the Malaysian Grand Prix return? Well, if you ask me, hell yes, instantly. Drop Miami and host a Grand Prix at Sepang. But if I'm being realistic, it won't return. With only 45,000 spectators in 2016, absurdly high hosting fees, and Grand Prix in Japan, China, and Singapore, it's not coming back. It isn't viable for Malaysia. They also took a massive hit after the pandemic and can't really afford to invest in Formula One. And not only that, but we know by now that Formula One is rather interested in parking lot Grand Prix like Miami, the new Grand Prix at Madrid, or a circus like Vegas, than, well, you know, a real circuit. Their obsession with street circuits and growth, it not only took away Malaysia, it cost us Istanbul Park, the Hockenheim Ring, and it put Spa in a rotation system. So no, I'm afraid we'll never see that Grand Prix return on the calendar. Luckily for us, we can rewatch the races. And I have to admit, that might be even better than watching a 2025 Formula 1 Grand Prix. Now you know the story about the Sepang International Circuit, but do you know everything about Hockenheim Ring, a circuit we all miss as Formula 1 fans?